Hey, so we're following up on Disney. This is another one of our value stocks. Last time we checked on them was early March, March 3rd to be exact. And at that time, the stock price was 101. I had a buy point of 93 and a sell slash resistance point of 122. So we do have the last month up on the screen right now. And so right now it's at 99. So it's roughly flat. It looks like it did dip down to our buy point. Uh, Again, this is another company that I wish I set up an alert for to just let me know, hey, it's at that buy point because, yeah, I just don't have the time to track this on a daily basis. So that's something I'm going to be looking into. I suggest you do the same. Uh, but yeah, we're going to go over some news for Disney over that last month, and then we'll look at the technical analysis and reassess, see if those price points have changed at all. So to start off with, it looks like Disney reached a tentative deal with service workers uh, to increase the wages. It looks like down here uh, that they want to have the starting minimum wage from 15 to $18, and it looks like they'll receive between $5.50 and $8.60 by the end of the contract, with the first $3 in raises arriving this year. So we're going to touch on this in a later article that kind of confirms what the deal actually uh, resulted in. So with that increase in minimum wages, it looks like Disney decided they're going to begin doing layoffs, 7,000 to be exact. And if you saw on the screen, there was a Hulu and ESPN mention. Those look like they're going to be the front runners of the cuts to come ahead, and that'll be mentioned in a later article too. Uh, Another thing, it looks like in the first round of layoffs, they're going to cut their metaverse uh, aspect of their business. So Disney did have a metaverse segment of their a metaverse team within Disney, and it was meant to have a next generation storytelling and consumer experience. I have to imagine they're going to bring that back at some point. It's just right now they're trying to save money, so they're scrapping it for now. We'll see if that comes back. But that was one of the first layoffs of that 7,000 people that they uh, chose to lay off. It looks like they also laid off the Marvel Entertainment chairman, this Ike Perlmutter. Um, I I guess that makes sense. I'm not sure how many more Marvel movies are going to come out in the future. I have to imagine they did an incredible job with their first round. They put out tons of movies, um, and I'm sure more to come. But maybe that stream of Marvel type movies is going to slow down. I'm not sure, but this is kind of an indicator of that potentially happening. Uh, I'm sure they're going to fill that role later on down the road, but this should save a lot of money. Anytime you get rid of a chairperson, that's going to be big bucks. Next, we have so that union deal. So the union voted yes on the offer, and that offer would be cast members, which is just, um, I guess that's the term for anybody. I think anybody that works at Walt Disney is called a cast member, whether it means you're the custodian or you're actually a performer. So it looks like whoever the entitled members are will have a pay bump or a minimum salary of $17 an hour, and current members will receive a minimum of $18 an hour. So, uh, based on the previous article, it sounds like before minimum wage was maybe like 15 or $14. Well, now it's 17 to $18 minimum. Moving on, uh, the next one we have is so another one of the layoffs is they're cutting their streaming jobs, specifically in China. I guess that's where it's located. I'm sure they have offices in America. I guess they have offices in China too, but here's 300. They're going to lay off 300 in Beijing. I believe this unit is around Hulu or potentially Disney Plus. Um, they operate several Disney Plus, which is available. Um, so it doesn't actually say which streaming service. I'll just assume it's all of them. But yeah, they have streaming services: Disney Plus, Hulu, and it looks like ESPN Plus also. So there goes 300 people right there. Next is, okay, so this is just a continuation of that. It looks like Hulu specifically, they were able to cut 200 people in that streaming sector. So I imagine that means the breakdown is of the 300, 200 is related to Hulu, and 100 would be related to Disney Plus or ESPN Plus. For me, that kind of stinks because I have Hulu. If they were to scrap Hulu altogether, I guess I'd have to look for a new streaming service, but um, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Next, it looks like, yeah, Bob Iger, he came back to Disney back in like November, and he's just reaffirming to the shareholders that ESPN and Hulu, they might be getting cut. So, uh, and maybe not cut, just maybe sold. Again, we'll see how that plays out. Next, we have this article. Yeah, so Disney is debating on bringing back a dividend. So it looks like in the past, it mentions down here that previously Disney made semi-annual dividends. Most recently, it was 88 cents per share, or about $1.76 per year, because again, it's twice a year as opposed to quarterly. So no guarantee it's going to be those amounts, obviously, but they're thinking that potentially it could be fully reinstated at that 1.8%. So that's, if you're into dividend type stocks, that is a good thing for Disney, in your opinion, if you like the dividends. I don't mind it. I think, basically dividends to me, and other people have said this, kind of signal that they are in a um, value type play where they're not really going to be growing profits, and so any profits they have, they just want to give it back to the investors. And if that's how they want to play it, I'm okay with it. This is a value stock. I would appreciate the extra money. I can reinvest it into something else, and hopefully the value continues to just slowly go upwards. So I think it's a win-win. And lastly, it looks like there was some big news with Disney, specifically Bob Iger and their governor, I believe, Ron DeSantis. And so apparently, we can kind of flip through it, but apparently Iger made some comments about, he's quoted here saying, "Don't say gay." And I guess DeSantis was not a fan of that comment. And I guess they were going at each other. It looks like what ultimately was going to happen is, because of these comments and Eager wasn't going to take it back, DeSantis wanted to try to organize some sort of tax on Disney World specifically, under the veil that because Disney World is so large in Florida, they're almost like its own county. And because it's its own county, he was going to try to up the taxes on that one county, but it turns out that's not really something that he can do, specifically because if he were to do that, I guess it affects the other counties surrounding it, and of course that really hurts those counties because they're not as rich as Disney. They're just ordinary people, and along that line, Bob Iger's response to that was, if you're going to start taxing Disney to whatever extent it was, because I'm sure whatever it was a lot more than what they were paying currently. Bob Iger was saying, Uh, that is anti-Disney for one, and he even went the next step in saying that's anti-Florida because Disney right here, they're planning on paying or investing $17 billion into Disney over the next decade, which would create 13,000 jobs for the state. So uh, that's how he's playing it. He's saying if you're going to tax us, that's going to ultimately prevent us from investing all this money, which would create new jobs, which would help the economy. So this is clearly a big battle, especially because Disney is one of the top companies, in the nation. It looks like DeSantis did create some board against them, but that hasn't gone over exactly how he wanted, mainly because apparently they have this agreement that says uh, they basically have to keep the terms in place for 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles of England. I'm not sure how that became about. I guess one of those people were the founders, and that was one of the deals that they arranged with the state. So it looks like Florida's going to be okay in terms of that tax type of situation, but this is something that we'll have to keep a lookout for going forward. Um, and so that's pretty much the news. So let's go into the technical analysis piece. It looks like we could kind of argue that it's in an uptrend. I personally, I don't think they're ready for me to draw in an uptrend line, but it looks like, again, the last time we looked was on the 3rd, which was this little green sliver right in here. And so since that time, we had this green bar marked out at 93. It did cross that line, so I would have bought if we happened to check on it on, say, like the 17th. I would have bought it. Probably not much, but a share or two. So I definitely missed that one. If you caught it, great job. But me personally, I missed it. And right now we're almost back to where we were, slightly lower. So I'm just going to update my spreadsheet here on the right, and I'll share that with you very soon. 4.5, and I'll just mark it's relatively flat recently. But yeah, so nothing really changing on the technical front for me. I still like how I drew in these lines. I think, at least most recently, the way that it could end up going is, it might test 109 again and then pull back down. And there's no guarantee it's going to reach 109 again. With those news, it sounds like it's kind of evenly placed, but it seems overall, I feel like it's more negative. When I take the summation of all those articles, it seems more negative than positive. But overall, it's not terribly weighted either way, in my opinion. You can let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, but that's how I'm seeing it. So I'm not really changing anything. We'll hold out. Hopefully I can figure out how to set up an alerts on my phone so that if it does hit this price, it'll trigger me to buy that. But that's pretty much it. So we have Disney here. So it's still close to that buy point, and that's what the orange means. It's close to a move. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So Disney, currently it's 99. I'd be looking into buying it close to 93. If it was like 95, sure, I would take a shot at it. And I think we'll run into resistance at 122 for sure. And even, I would say 109, we can update that to show 109 and 102. And we'll make that pink just because that's my indicator for right now of if I have more than one number in there. And so I can actually update that one too. But yeah, so that's Disney. Let me know your thoughts. But otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.